We are here to bring you everything and anything surrounding Porsche. I'm Mike.
I'm Aaron.
And this is PCar Talk. Welcome to another episode of PCar Talk. I am Mike.
And I'm Aaron.
And we're in the studio in St. Pete. And we want to thank all of the Patreons, all of the producers, all of our membership. Aaron, go ahead and give them the shout out, rundown, the big ups to them, because these people, some of these folks actually are
double dipping.
Yeah.
Well, not double dipping, but
they're club members and they're Patreon members. Like, super kudos to them, because that's like ultra special for us. And you know, you can be Patreon members and help support us as well. Get on the waiting list for the PCar Club, because it is a waiting list. We are 100 full. Aaron, let's go ahead and shout our people out right now.
I have a little thing. While you're waiting on the waiting list,
okay,
go on to Patreon. That's what a lot of these guys already did. And ladies.
Yeah. I think it's a huge help. It's a way to support the channel. You know, we're putting this together every week. We have not missed a week yet, knock on wood. So we're going to keep that going for you, and you guys help us do that by becoming a Patreon or a club member. So
it's true. All right, here we go. We're going to produce this first. We got Brandon J, we got Eric A, Robert G, David S, and then we got the Sriracha Boys, which are Sean H, Scott H, Brian R, Matthew M, and then Nick F. It's definitely Nick, because I saw his picture.
Okay, good. I'm glad you clarified that, because I think when you started it initially, it was like Nicky,
and
I think you had an I on it.
There was an I and something that I saw, and then so I ran with it,
Yeah.
and then I saw maybe an email back or something.
Okay.
I was like, okay, clarified.
Big thank you to all of them. Thank you for everybody who's also renewing your club membership. And thank you for all of the recent club members that we shouted you out on the prior episode. Thank you guys so much. You are definitely the backbone of what PCar Talk does, and you make us tick, and you definitely keep the lights on and the equipment going, and us bringing you content, and us being able to give away things too as well. So that's huge.
And if you haven't got your stuff yet, that's because I'm kind of moving. So I'm working. You're getting it.
Our logistics guy's in the process of an actual home move. Like, he's moving his own home somewhere. So yeah, patience. You will get it. We're not scumbagging you.
Nope.
Just don't forget, right, Aaron?
There's a spreadsheet. I got him.
Okay.
So we got Jaime hooked up, just in case he wants a shout out. He's hooked up now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. He had a weird thing going on. I think he was monthly. We stopped doing monthly, and then he stopped, and then he, you know, anyways, he gave us a shout out. He's a RS member now. Jaime, thank you for signing back up. We got him squared away. So let's get into it. Porsche GT3 is going mainstream. Excuse me. Pop culture, right? With Tom Cruise and the Top Gun style video. If you haven't seen what I'm talking about, there's a little 5-minute clip out there. It's pretty cool. Mark Webber's in it. It's kind of corny, but it is funny. If you didn't watch the F1 race this past weekend, they were at Silverstone. Tom Cruise was there watching that race. But I guess before the race, not that same day, but while he was in town, they went ahead and shot this video, and they edited in some Top Gun-esque type stuff and features, and they said some of the lines from the movie, and they knew they were joking around. They weren't being serious. They were having fun with it. I thought it was pretty interesting. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. I think you guys would like it. Two things on this. When the hell is this movie ever going to come out? Because it's been delayed twice.
Yeah, it was supposed to be around my birthday in April, and I was super excited. I was like, cool, that's something.
We get it. The COVID thing pushed it back. It was supposed to be, and then I think there was going to be a July release.
Summer.
Pushed back. Now it's a November release, Christmas time release.
It's got to be done, right?
You would think so. I don't know. I mean, Tommy's probably just chilling. Apparently, he's got time. He's doing freaking GT3 shit. So whatever.
I mean, kudos to the media team for turning that turnaround. That had to be pretty quick.
Yeah. I mean, shit. I mean, you got Tom Cruise doing something. I mean, so the second thing is, okay, GT3 is going mainstream. It's an enthusiast car. We all know this. We know the roots behind this. We won't go over that again for everyone. If you haven't, listen to some prior episodes. We can definitely catch you back up on some of our prior episodes when we talk about the GT3 as a whole. Is this a good thing or a bad thing that now this is kind of going pop culture GT3? We're not talking Porsche. This was GT3 specific. Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing, or what do you think what that does for enthusiasts and everybody else now that kind of every rich dumb asshole in the world now knows maybe what a GT3 is that didn't know one was before.
I think it's good marketing. I mean, and I think that it's the flagship. It's one of the flagships, and it's unique, and it's something new for them, new model. I mean, new refresh. Maybe people haven't seen a 911 in a while. I think it's the GT variant.
So you think this is good for enthusiasts? I didn't say good for Porsche. My question is good or bad for enthusiasts?
I don't think it hurts it. I don't think it hurts the enthusiast. Because it's just gonna be another thing where if you're not in the brand, you're not gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna get one of those now.
I disagree with you. I think it's bad for the enthusiast because now this was like our thing. Everybody who has a GT3 or knew what a GT3 was. Now, not that this is the first time. This is some revelation. Now there's going to be people flooding the place and buy. We already kind of saw that with the 991, when a lot of guys maybe were Ferrari or Lamborghini guys or McLaren guys that were cross shopping, and they also bought GT3s because they were being lied to by their salesman to say, you're not going to lose money on this car, buy one if you get an allocation, yada yada yada. I think this is bad for enthusiasts because this is still going to just continue to flood the market with guys that have more money than sense, that think that they can come in, they're buying the cars for the wrong reasons.
I would say kinda, and the only reason you would say kinda is because you know that there's allocations out there. I mean, there's still to play unless they've somehow played the dealership game unknowingly.
Well, we already talked about this. There's dealerships that will go unnamed that we have talked to.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That said that, hey, if you give me $100 grand and you don't have any loyalty to us, or 150 up on markup, and you want to pay the 200, there are people with enough money that want this, that are cliche enough to buy this. Kind of like when Yeezys first came out, you couldn't get them, and people are playing markup. They're sneakerheads going out there buying sneakerheads, paying 10x what something comes from the store. So we already know that people will pay more for things. I think this is bad for enthusiasts like us. I think it's good for the brand of Porsche, but I think it's bad for us because now it's bringing to light how special this car is. And there's tons of videos coming out about how everybody's saying, like, this is the best GT3 ever made. And I think they say that every time it comes out, so that's a very cliche phrase to say. But then you kind of tie in some of the race car stuff. We haven't been in one yet. I think it's kind of bad for enthusiasts. Everybody who's listening is probably an enthusiast, and they probably know where I'm coming from with this, because now it just becomes one more dickhead that you have to battle if you are in the realm of allocations. If you are even in that select few, now that room gets even more crowded, in my opinion, because there's more money and more power going in there. And we want to believe that everybody knows about this, but that's not true. Meaning GT3s in general, prior to this, you know, any of this marketing stuff that comes along with it. Actually, across the board, even in the car world, you probably could talk to a handful of people if you go to a Cars and Coffee, and some of them may know and some of them might not know. So you might have a 50-50 shot even within enthusiasts. So if you're putting this in light in the sense of, hey, you are just kind of a, you know, G5 flying, you got tons of diamonds, you got all this stuff, you have everything, but hey, you think this thing's a new catchy thing and you don't even know what a GT3 is, but everybody's ranting and raving about it and it's getting all this attention. Oh, Tom Cruise is driving one. Oh, cool. I want one of those things now. Now that person is now in the shark pool with everybody else. I think it's a bad thing.
You don't want him to take the depreciation hit and you buy it a couple of years from now, or?
I don't even think it's that. I think it goes from that thing that we've been trying to stop from happening, that's been going on. This continues, in my opinion, to fuel that fire of people that are just kind of temporary buying time in these cars, not buying them for the right reasons. They're not buying this car to drive it. They're not buying what this car is supposed to be. They're just buying it because it's popular. Almost kind of, almost kind of defeats the purpose of why people bought all these Jordans and all this kind of stuff. And actually they were made to play basketball in, not to be sitting in a glass case on your shelf. I understand sneakerheads and I understand collectability, but you're buying sneakers to play basketball with, but you're not playing basketball with them. You're just putting them on display. That's kind of what I feel like you're buying a race car, but you're not racing it.
Yeah, but that's still a select few of people that are not using it as intended.
I know, but when you have a limited supply of it, when you have all these people that shelve this stuff, it just it kind of defeats the purpose of the vehicle, I guess. I know that's part of the collateral damage when you make these cars because of the stereotype that's come along with GT3s, and everybody thinks they're made of sugar or whatever, and if they rain on them, you're never going to resell them. You don't want to drive it. You don't want to take it above a certain RPM, all this kind of shit. And it's like, dude, it is built to be beaten.
So GT dealership needs to happen. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
something that you feel
like we've talked about before. I mean, I'm not trying to like create an argument with you. I just wanted to see what you're feeling. I think it's good for Porsche. I think it's bad for enthusiasts. That's the question I wanted to ask you. Good or bad for enthusiasts?
And I think it's kind of different. I think it's maybe bad because it could take up allocation if somebody's really understands and knows why they want the car, what they're going to do with the car, from somebody that just has money and decides they want the hot thing. But do you think they should vet them in some way? I mean, should that be something that Porsche forces? Hey,
of course. We've talked about this. Of course. I totally agree they should vet them. But money talks at the end of the day. And a lot of these dealerships are chasing dollars, so it doesn't fucking matter to them. They're like, whatever, I don't care. Whoever shows up. We're gonna give a I don't want to sell you the car price. And if you still pay it, I guess we're going to give you an allocation. We're going to be like, all right, well, car's $200. We want $400 for it. Okay. Because I got more money than sense.
If you were the guy that had 400 and you wanted it now, would you be okay with that? I mean, that's...
I can't even put myself in that position because I don't even know what that's like. I mean, I don't even know if I'd be shopping that car because I would think I would have enough brand loyalty that I wouldn't have to pay up, and I would have a relationship at a dealership that maybe even if I paid a little bit of a markup, it wouldn't be that significant. So I don't ever think I would even be in that situation, even if I was ultra wealthy, because I'd own so many newer Porsche products. So I wouldn't be in this situation. So maybe it's good for them to fleece these people because they're not brand loyal. So I don't know. Like, there's two ways to look at it, right? Maybe they're like, yeah, fuck those guys over because they don't buy anything for us, so fuck them over.
At least get them once, and
then like hammer them,
never come back
like
again,
hammer their asses or whatever. Yeah. Like, who cares? Maybe there's that, but I mean that's all in the dealership. They're out there to get theirs, and I get that. It's a ugly evil that happens in that world. Unfortunately, I just think it's bad to even have those kind of people owning those cars for the rest of us in general, because you want to see the person who owns those cars that puts mileage on it and does stuff. Like, prime example, popular guy, makes a very healthy living, Chris Harris. He has a GT3 Touring. Car has like 30,000 miles on it. And I'm not trying to say it like in a bad way. I'm saying it in a positive way. He drives the shit out of it. That's his daily driver, essentially. It doesn't matter if it rains. It doesn't matter if he has a shoot across three hours away from where he lives at in England. He drives the car there. It doesn't matter. I think that's awesome. I wish more people did that, I guess, with these cars, because they're capable of doing it. And more so the Touring than the regular GT3, because actually that's what the Touring was made to do, is that daily work. I just think that, unfortunately, in the world of resale and preciousness and all this kind of stuff, and
you think the enthusiasts get lost in it? Not the enthusiast per se, the person, but the enthusiasm for that car on some people is not there, and you want everybody to enjoy it to the limits and not.
Yeah, I think so.
Not just covet it and then put it away.
For every person that beats on the car, right, there's so many more people who don't. And I love seeing GT3s that have high mileage on it, because it just shows you that they're machines. If you maintain them well, they're going to be fine. And same thing on every level GT3 and a lot of Porsche products. If you take care of them, they'll be fine. You don't miss maintenance. You change oil properly, change fluids properly. Car doesn't need a lot. And it's just, I don't know, when I see these cars that I've had this car, I've got a 2018 with like 1,500 miles on it, and it's 2021. It's like, dude, we've had this conversation over and over and over again. It's the girlfriend thing, right? You saving your girlfriend for somebody?
But if I can see that.
You saving it for somebody, because the next guy's gonna freaking wear a hole in it.
Yeah, it's true. I mean,
you hope so, at least, right?
Yeah. Or
maybe he's the next, or maybe he's the next one that saves it for the next guy. But I guarantee someone's going to eventually get a hold of it and bang the drum.
Did you see that purple 3RS with the Pro Charger? Have you seen that?
I did see that video.
Thing is nasty.
It is interesting.
It's a cool looking kit.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I didn't have that written in, but I'm glad you brought that up. I thought it was interesting. Tell me your thoughts on that for a second. Do you think it's blasphemous to mess with that engine, or do you think it's okay? And what he's talking about, if it seems like code, there's a person out there, I don't know them personally, so I'm not going to name them, but they have a ultraviolet GT3 RS that they put the first supercharger procharger kit on. It looks very professionally done. It looks really, really well.
That's the best thing I've seen.
It's you know, the powder coated is to match the UV the ultraviolet on the GT3 RS. It didn't screw with the sound at all. I know some superchargers where you can hear that whine. You can't hear it at all over the exhaust.
It's a centrifugal, so it's just going to sound. It's more like turbo noise than anything.
But it still can't hear it. And so it has all of the same GT3 RS high revving, but it just has basically 200 more horsepower, 150 more horsepower, whatever that number is, that range.
That was a healthy bump.
So it's strong. And if you didn't know that car was strong, it already ran the 10s already. So who knows? That car probably, like he said, probably runs in the 9s now. But my question to you for bringing that up after the explanation for everybody who hasn't seen it, is that blasphemous to do?
I think it's kind of cool. I think it's cool.
Okay.
I think that is. I mean, if you
would you do it?
The way that was done, it looked excellent, and I would. I don't know that it's necessary. I'd like to drive it to see if that's really like, okay, this is.
Let's be
really
real.
Upset the balance.
The last thing you need is more power.
I need all the power.
The last thing you need is more power.
All the power. I can't wait to wait. Let's go to the mountains.
Oh my God! You're just gonna go tear it up all of a sudden?
No.
Well, you.
Yeah. Wait. Just wait.
Okay.
Wait.
Well, you don't overdrive your freaking skill set, man. Like
no,
it's
my skill set's fine.
Okay.
My skill set's fine.
You're blaming the car. The car's the strong. Like your car was good.
That's okay.
Your car could hang.
It's okay.
Your car could hang up there.
It's okay.
Where do you think you were pushing your car at when you were up there? Tenths wise. Where were you at? 5/10?
Probably. Well, depends. Well, on the wet roads, probably. I was probably
we had dry roads in the dry conditions.
I'd probably say
no handicaps.
Maybe 7/10, maybe, because it was matted a lot of times. But I mean, there's just no. That's 200 horsepower difference, and for most of the cars, I'm at 270 something.
All I'm saying
to
is,
the wheels.
If whatever you end up buying a GT3. It's not all in the car, so don't just go out there blind and fucking think you're just going to be like all of these other fucking yahoos that go buy these fucking cars and think they're going to be like a Stonewall fucking driver after it. Yeah, exactly. Anyways, would you do this to that car? We're tangenting.
It's cycling back to the same thing. I don't know. I would like to experience what it's like. It seemed like it was done really well and it's put into the pump. It doesn't look like it hurt the car at all.
Yeah. No, not at all. I don't think. Here's my theory behind it.
I don't know. It's necessary. Yeah. I don't know.
So yes or no? For you?
Probably no. I mean, I don't think it's necessary.
I'm going with no. The car doesn't need more power. We've driven a 500 horsepower GT3 RS. We've been in it. It's got plenty of power. It's got plenty of grip. I feel that car now on they didn't drive it on a twisty. They did straightaways, and that's not what that car is for. So I feel like actually that car may be overpowering a road course, in my opinion.
Chassis.
And the reason why I say that is, okay, so that car, they were suspecting, the one we're talking about, the ultraviolet one, they're saying that car is maybe around 650 now, right? Okay, 650.
That's GT2 territory.
Okay.
RS, yeah.
Granted, it doesn't have the same kind of aero, has different aero.
Yep.
Anyways, we won't get into that whole debate. The point of the story is, and we're going to talk about this in the later part of the show, 992 GT3 Cup car, 510 horsepower. Need I say more? If you're going to do what you're supposed to do with the damn car, you're not running drag strips. If you're going to do that, buy a damn turbo to begin with. I'm not arguing the point. Everybody can do whatever the hell they want to the car. I wouldn't do that to the car. Because now, he's just doing something to be different, which he did say he's doing. No one else has done it. He just wants to do that. And I get that. You want to do something different because you've done so many different cars in your life, and I get that whole thing. I don't know. I wouldn't do it. That's just me. I think it's rad, though. I think it looks cool. It looks very clean.
I think I would do that over twin turboing it.
I would too. And if I was going to do any type of forced induction, I would buy one that's already turboed. That's kind of the way I look at it.
Yeah. I mean, I get where you're going with that. Makes sense.
But yeah, interesting enough. So, new Macan is out.
Yep.
Everybody...
Sharper, sportier.
Yeah, whatever. Like, yeah, right? But the most important thing about the new Macan coming out is that there's no Macan Turbo now. So that has been eliminated from the lineup.
Okay.
That turbo motor is going into the GTS, however. Porsche spokesperson said the reason why they're eliminating the Macan Turbo is making room for the Macan EV.
Yep, makes sense.
So they're basically taking something out of their product line and replacing it with the EV model.
And it's going to be called Macan Turbo.
Well, I was just about to say, are they going to make it a Macan 100%. Turbo S?
Oh, I mean, maybe.
Like where it doesn't have a fucking turbo, and it's this. Are we playing this game with everything at their higher end of cars again? Everything's going to be a Turbo S, even though it doesn't have a freaking turbo in it. Is that what's going to happen here? What do you think?
Get ready, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if they're removing. Well, I don't know if I go Turbo S, but I think at least go Turbo. If they're yanking the turbo off, they'll at least go same. Since they never really had a Turbo S in the lineup before.
What do you feel about, we've talked about reduction in model lines. Do you think this is a good thing or bad thing? Do you think they should still have the turbo and add the EV and then have all of these lines? Is it a good thing that they're actually...
Because it's going to be too close, probably on power.
Yeah. So essentially, I mean, it has different badging. The GTS is essentially the Macan Turbo, is what it's going to be. They've said that. Okay. It's going to have that power plant, but it's actually, oddly enough, I don't know why it's taken this long to kind of do this, because this is not a new car in their lineup. They've been doing it for a while. They're saying, well, the GTS is going to be more motorsport than the Turbo ever was, because we're using the Turbo motor, but we're going to give it some more suspension. We're going to give it better seats. We're going to do all this stuff. Isn't that what the fucking GTS is supposed to be anyways?
Yeah. That's what it should be. That difference outside of our actual GT car. Yeah.
Am I asleep at the wheel here? Like, we talked about the Panamera. Like, are they lulling us to sleep with these, like, same models and just now we're badge changing and badge swapping?
Well,
and
there's going to be, we know there's going to be Alcantara everywhere.
Yeah. We'll have to watch out for our cornholes around those guys, man. Freaking
the new front end, though, looks pretty good, though. Like all black, that grill. It looks a lot more aggressive than it did.
Yeah, I mean, as far as crossovers, SUVs go, I don't want to spend too much time on it. I mean, it's a non-starter for me. So I just kind of
the EV part?
I just wanted to, yeah, I'm interested to see what that is. Go ahead and speed that up. Get that here. Let's see what that looks like. I actually hope it looks different. However, if it's going to be in that lineup, this comes to the debate, like, let's close with this before I move to the next topic. Is the Macan AV going to look different?
Absolutely not. Same.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
That's what I think, too. And actually, that makes me
at least this first generation's not
disappointed, because I think if you have something that has a combustion engine and you have the ability to do EV design cues, which can be radical, I think you should go more towards the radical side of it. But I agree with you. I think, in general, I don't think it's going to change. And why I don't think it's going to change is because what we talked about a couple episodes ago, when the Macan EV base is going to be $58,000.
Yeah.
There's no way that's going to get a brand new makeover and only be charged that much at the base level.
Yeah, there's no new engineering going into
exactly.
that. Do get a frunk, though. Enjoy that, people.
Yeah. Whatever. All right. So before we go on break, want to give our thoughts and prayers to our friends in Germany, friends and family are out there. If you do not know and you're living under a rock, they're under severe flooding at the moment out there. So some of your favorite shacks have been destroyed. A lot of homes are being destroyed. A lot of properties being destroyed.
The Rhineland Falls area is mainly, it looks like the Rhine just overflowed, and it's absolutely crazy. It's gone from nothing there, leveling stuff, cars everywhere, basements full of mud.
Lots of property damage.
Ridiculous.
Lots of property damage. So if you have friends and family out there, definitely thinking about them. If you don't, and now that was your only source of news that what's happening on that side of the world, that is what's happening over there. Yeah. So
the Nürburgring is now home base to like a lot of the German army, all the
so that's where they're like emergency,
all the paddocks
like stuff is
all cotted up, and you just see them rows of cots, and that's where the army's sleeping. And then they have several ambulances, probably 100 ambulances or so from all over the country.
Yeah,
there, then doing
emergency service
they're doing
type
helo
stuff
back and forth with water and supplies.
Yeah, that's bad news over there. So definitely thinking about them. Let's take a quick break, and then we will be back. All right, we're back from break. So I know we talked a little about GT3 Cup car. That was unintentional. I'm glad we talked about it. Yeah, so this will kind of bring it full circle. I was just reading up on it, and I thought it was some interesting things. Maybe
surprised by that weight number is what I'm surprised about.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's a lot of people out there, and for a lot of reasons there, you shouldn't know why, because there's only a handful of these Cup cars that exist anyways, the 992 ones, to run in this series. And unless you're kind of a dork like we are and you kind of get into the weeds. So this car, we already discussed 510 horsepower.
Yep.
The weight is the biggest thing. 2,772 pounds.
Miata.
Yeah. So that weight ratio, to put this thing into perspective so you can actually wrap your head around this for a second. So I know this, again, what we talked about before, it's not made, this car's not made to do this, but power weight ratio, put it into a quarter-mile calculator. This car set should run 10.6s all day long. If you've ever been to a racetrack before, have you ever seen, meaning a drag strip, and you've seen a 10-second car run, you understand that's fast. If you've ever driven a 10-second car, you know how fast a 10-second car is, or ridden, driven or ridden in it. The reason why I bring that up is because most people that are probably listening have either A, seen one run, or B, been a passenger or driver in one. So they understand how powerful that is. Now, here's the next thing. All of those cars that usually run on the drag strip are running on the drag strip because they're made to go in a straight line.
They're made for that, yeah.
So they're not made to go around a road course. That's all they do, straight. Now, the Cup car is made to do all of that and still run that time. So to put that in perspective as well, max lateral G-force in the 992 Cup car is 1.6 Gs. That is a ton. That is a ton of G-force in a car.
Yeah, that's high.
Yeah. So it's pulling massive Gs. So this thing can also run super, super fast in a straight line, but also corner on rails. Is this something, I think this gets underestimated. I think the power to weight ratio, nobody really talks about. Everybody talks about great it handles, and it is a great handling car, and it's an amazing tool. And the people we know that own them, that are racing in that series, that talk to us offline about it, saying it goes through consumables like crazy, tires, brakes, all those things, because it is so fast. So you're breaking the car down a lot. So you're running a lot quicker times. And it costs a lot more to run this car.
Yeah, but that's also dependent on setup too, because I mean, there's other people that are running them. It's similar.
Yeah,
but
what are your thoughts on this power to weight ratio? That number that I've given you with its estimated quarter-mile time, its G-force, all of this stuff, is that kind of mind-blowing stuff to you? What does that do for you when I tell you all like what it is? Because none of us are really going to ever get to experience that car.
First of all, it makes me think that BOP may not be as bad as I thought. I mean, with a 2,700-pound car, I mean, it is something. We definitely see the difference in speeds when it happens. We get more weight. But wow, I don't know where you go at and get the car that light for being as big. Everybody says it's so big of a car. Well, they're shaving weight somewhere.
Yeah. A lot of it's carbon fiber.
Be super, super quick, like way faster than you would think.
Yeah, they're saying it's leaps and bounds ahead of any of the other Cup cars.
And I know you don't see the weights, and if I ask you, you probably won't recall. Were there any other Cup car weights similar to this?
I didn't pull any because I was hyper focused on this.
I just wondered if this has changed, or if it's been kind of a standard where they've always been
close
to that mark.
I would bet they're around there if I had to bank on it. I wouldn't say there's a big disparity between weight. I think the big disparity is probably the way the power's delivered and how much of it's there. I think that's the biggest thing. And then obviously the suspension geometry with this thing is allowing it to be able to corner a lot more and harder than the other ones. We have, you know, Lee, we know him pretty well. He's running in that series. He's a hot shoe, and that, you know, a couple other Kelly Moss cars that are running really, really fast times in those cars.
Would you want to see this run down the drag strip just once, just to see it in action?
Yeah, I don't think that would do anything. I think it'd be neat.
That's about it.
Yeah,
I just wonder. Like,
I think it would just be like a neat like video, like that was cool, but I don't know. It doesn't really do anything because you think about it. I mean, at the quarter mile, it's still okay, but like if you do like a really long test with this thing, remember this thing, like all the Porsches we saw it. If you watch Le Mans at all, how they make their arrow on the wing for Le Mans is a big difference. Meaning the team, how they design which attack angle they want the wing to be at is a big number, because on the Mulsanne straight they have a long way to go and they can pull a lot of mile per hour out of the car or put it in the car depending on how much downforce is being put onto that car. A lot of people don't understand with that big wing, it's also a lot of drag, so your mile per hour goes down by a lot. So these cars that don't have maybe a lot of wing or all that stuff or that attack angle, and we saw it firsthand when Porsche was getting actually pulled on some of those on the Mulsanne straights. The last time we were watching Le Mans, you and I think were texting back and forth, and we're like, dude, it's like a parachute behind the car.
It's like about 180 miles an hour to the chicane.
Yeah. So in a quarter mile, I think this was like running 134 at that number. So it hadn't kicked in yet as far as the slowdown on the wing on the Cup car I'm referring to. But yeah, interesting little facts behind that and how that goes.
Well, it definitely speaks to, like, does the GT3 street car and the RS, do they need more power?
Yeah.
The Cup car, they don't.
Exactly.
And I don't think they'll get it. I don't think it's going to be a big bump. If it's ever a bump, it's never going to be a big bump. And then it also speaks to the leader size. We kept talking about, will it get bigger? Probably not.
No, I agree. You know, I think the interesting thing, too, is a lot of these people, and Patrick Long's quoted saying this, driving the new GT3 992, not just the Cup car, but he drove the Cup car in this back-to-back and compared the two of them and said how great they both were. And one of his quotes was like, man, if this is this good, I can't imagine what the RS is going to be like. And that is a common saying, I guess, from a lot of people that have testing these cars. I wonder what the RS is going to be like. Let's spiral into that, because this is a what-if question. Do you think it's... I mean, they can't be that far off, right?
The aero is going to make the difference. Well, they do.
Yeah, I know. I just meant as far as like the way it feels. From a power standpoint, they got to be pretty close, right? Even like when you launch, but like you and I,
it's going to be 10/10 is where it's going to be the difference.
Oh yeah, I agree. But going further back in the product line, for example, like a 991.1 GT3 and a 991.1 GT3 RS, you and I have driven both, and there's a significant difference between those two cars.
Yeah, the feels
from a power, the way it hits is totally different. Do you think they're going to be able to make the RS hit different? I mean, they kind of have to, right? Because it is a significant price point up, and it's supposed to be the coveted, I'm putting the air quotes out, the RS. It's the RS. So in order not to discredit the name, it's got to hit hard.
Yeah, it's got to be. I mean, I guess there may be a little bit of a power bump. I don't think it'll be a leader jump or a.
No, I don't think so either. So what? Like maybe
a transmission.
Maybe it's like 510. So the other one's 502. I think something like that is the number. Was it 8 horsepower bump, something to that effect? I think you're right. I think
it's Porsche bump though too, because what actually translates maybe a little different.
Exactly. Well, I think what's really going to be the difference is there's probably going to be a little bit wider track, of course, because it has to be, because it's an RS. But I just wonder if it's going to hit different. Like, meaning if you're on that launch control and you hit them both.
Do you think it's going to be wider? Because, I mean, the body styles
maybe
remain
visually
the same.
It'll look wider. Maybe what they're going to do with the optics of it, maybe it'll look wider. I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, because, I mean, they're trying that whole single chassis throughout the entire line thing.
Yeah, I mean, if it's identical, I think then it'll just change the aero aggressiveness. Is going to be the real only difference at that point? So then are you going to phase your RS out because now they're so similar?
People will still buy it just for that.
Well, of course, but I just mean from an aspect.
Do you feel like it cancels each other? Like it's redundant.
Are they too close now?
Line?
Are they going to be too close now?
I mean, maybe for most people, but I think once you get to that 8/10 level when you're on track, that's maybe 9/10. That's when you're going to start noticing, okay, well, this is where the GT3 is falling off and the RS is picking back up. It's doing it a little bit better.
Yeah.
But outside that, I don't think you and I would be like, yep, that's going to be a difference, and that's going to be like the older generations.
Yeah, we could definitely tell the difference between the two. Definitely stronger pulls in the GT3 RS. I think it's going to be interesting. Anyways, let's move on. So 928 talk. This circles back to some more Tom Cruise stuff. The hero car from Risky Business is going to be at auction at Barrett-Jackson. I think a fun fact I found about this car that Tom Cruise actually learned how to drive stick shift in this exact car that's going up for sale.
Oh, that's cool.
So this isn't the car that they dunked in the lake. This is the actual hero car that did all the driving scenes and all that kind of stuff. The actual car is going to be up for sale.
Is he a Porsche fan? The only question I asked that is because when we talked about Top Gun earlier, Speedster obviously in that movie.
Yeah.
So Porsche, another Porsche.
Well, that back then, I don't think he had any directive influence. I like the second movie, obviously he's directing it. So, of course, who knows what happens with that. I don't know if he's a Porsche fan. I don't think it's really confirmed. I know he likes sports cars. That's pretty obvious. He's been in a lot of movies that have pretty cool cars in it. I think World of Worlds, he's driving like a GT350, which is a cool car. So, yeah, he's been in a lot of Risky Business. He's driving a Porsche. Anyways, what do you think the number is going to be on this car? Obviously, the auction hasn't happened yet. So what's your guess on this?
I have no background on 928 auctions or pricing. I just haven't looked at 928s in a while. So I have no
I just meant like
reference.
from a hero standpoint, Tom Cruise learned how to drive stick in it. It was the actual car from Risky Business. Is that going to bring... I mean, of course, we're talking six figures. I mean, we're thinking
100, like... I'll say 105.
You think it's that low?
I don't know that it gets...
I mean, there's...
Is it just a 920? Is there anything... Like, is it a...
It's manual. It's...
Okay, it's manual.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So you learn how to drive manual in this car, Tom Cruise. I would say 250, 300, I think is auction hammer on it. I didn't look it up. I think that's where this is going to end up.
105. That's my number.
Okay. Fair enough. That's your number. I think 250, 300 on this car. And so now we're on the topic of 928. What do you think in general about the 928 as a whole? Would you ever own one? Yes or no, and why or why not?
I think it's gotten cooler to me over the years, just because the V8 and the idea of touring something like that was cool. And then the shape, at first of all, I was kind of turned off. I don't know why. But now over time, it's the taillights look better to me. The V8 seems appealing. Just the comfortability in the car. Would I buy one? Probably not. I mean, that's just... I kind of like it, but I'm not in love with it enough where I'd buy one.
And is it just purely aesthetics is the no on it?
It probably drives well.
Yeah.
But, again...
So I don't have anything to base this on because I haven't been in one yet and I haven't driven one. I would buy one. I like the Grand Tour idea. Remember, I'm aging, so I'm like 41. Yeah, I'm getting old.
Over the hill.
I'm going to be dead in 5 years, so...
Everything creaks.
Totally joking. But I would buy one because I think they're pretty cool. However, with that being said, it couldn't be my only Porsche. Meaning, I would have to at least have a 911 of some fashion. It doesn't have to be a GT3. It doesn't have to be a turbo. I would just need to have a 911.
Manual only? Does it have a manual? Or would you accept the auto?
The
auto's pretty good.
I heard it's pretty good too. I would like a manual, but you know what? I wouldn't not get one because if it was an auto. I think for me, if I was chasing one this day and age where I would end up with one, I would chase one with Pasha interior because they came that way. I know those are harder to find and I'm going to pay up for it. I understand that. But if I'm going to own one, that's the way I'd like to own one.
Exterior color, any preference?
Yeah, something funky to kind of go with the times. They made this car for like a long time, like in the late 70s all the way up to like, you know, the 80s. So
are there any special wishes colors on this? I have not seen a crazy colored 928.
I have. I've seen some. Well, just because I went in research looking at, I've seen like lime green ones, I've seen ruby stone, I've seen cassis, I've seen there. I mean, there's a cassis one out there for sale right now. It's pretty cool. It's manual. They come in some unique colors. I think there's one. There's like a cobalt blue metallic. There's some like that. There's some unique colors out there. As far as mint green or any of those colors, I haven't seen any. Not that they don't exist; they may exist. But I think the gamut is a lot of them. A lot of silvers, a lot of blacks, a lot of whites. I think that's kind of what that was. I would accept an auto, just because I think it'd be a cool car to have.
Oh, if you're touring. Maybe.
Yeah, exactly. You're made to be cruising in it anyways. It's supposed to be a cruiser. We've known somebody personally. It's had one when it was brand new. A friend of ours that's a little bit older, and he was saying it was phenomenal. It just pulls and pulls and pulls, like you would imagine. And I'm basing that off of what he said. It's an Autobahn car, like you would think most German, most German cars. Is it gonna tear off the line? No, but it's not gonna be drop dead slow. But once it starts to get in motion, all that weight starts going. It starts to really shine. It starts to pull. It's kind of hunkers down. It sets down. I think the only bugaboo on this car, in general, just because we know a lot of people in the industry, parts are kind of scarce for these things. So I think that's kind of one of the things too.
Insert Porsche Classic.
Yeah. And then on top of that, you're paying Porsche prices still on top of a car that's super old, and then you can run down the hill of, okay, well, it's not a 911. I'm not doing performance stuff with it. I'm kind of cruising with it, but it still costs me performance number type stuff. And now you're starting to talk yourself out of the car, you know. And I think that's kind of what happens with a lot of people, why a lot of folks that are enthusiasts that maybe don't own that car, because parts are expensive. Labor's still just as much as it is for a 911, and it doesn't do 911 things.
I mean, Panameras are increasingly, they're decreasing in price pretty rapidly, and so if you want that V8 experience, it's not a coupe. Yeah. But it's got coupe-esque things, so.
But I think it shares its place in time where it was an important car for our time frame. I think it's pretty cool. I got a sneaking suspicion I think it will revisit in another form someday through Porsche at some point in our lifetime, whether that's soon or later. I think it will revisit. But I think it's a cool car. I mean,
I think with the interior choices, it makes it unique.
Yeah, exactly, right. But it goes back to the things like you bought the car just for the interior. Not really.
Well, it's the 5th, 6th car I've got, so
yeah. And I think then it goes into that thing again, right? It needs to probably be. It's one of those horses that needs to be worked on a regular basis. Otherwise, it starts to cripple. So, if it is your 5th or 6th car, is it really a good 5th or 6th car because it needs to be exercised more often, just like all of your cars? And we're on this whole minimalist kick. You and I were talking about like maybe less is more.
The drivability of less cars makes it easier.
Yeah, you just have less overall maintenance on them. But yeah, I think they're pretty rad. I think, and I know that the people that do own them, they're a pretty tight group. I
think all of them showed up at Amelia.
Yeah, there was a bunch of them there, wasn't there? So, but again, I do know this: well-kept ones are very pricey.
I think, I know that I've started to see them rise up. So the exterior color, would you go white and Pasha? Are you black and Pasha?
Black and Pasha probably, I think, would be really cool. Unless you could get like a ruby stone that exists just to go totally funky.
They all have those chrome wheels as well.
No, GTS's had the later ones. They had some GTS manuals that had they had cup ones on it, I think. It's a cool car. I mean, I know for a fact because I just looked out of curiosity. This was like 2 years ago, even before this crazy time was around. And I think more modern manual GTSs were trading at over $100,000 because there isn't that many of them. They didn't make a ton of them. That was like at the end of the run. And they look pretty cool towards the end. They have nice body contour to it, as opposed to the really early ones like a 78 or 79. It looks kind of funky. But yeah, I think it's a cool car. Nevertheless, again, I think it's one of those cars that's Yeah, speaking of one, there's one right there. But I think it's in that ownership line of it's neat to own. It goes into the transaxle cars, right? Of all the transaxle cars, would this be the one that you own? I know we're talking about 928, but would you pick a 944 instead? Would you pick?
Probably. I feel like this because it's going to be more.
Or a 968 even? Or?
Yeah. I don't like 968s. I don't like the headlights. I'm aesthetic person.
I'm more of a flip up headlight, and I know they're technically all pop ups, but I like the traditional 944 of the way that looks.
944S too. That's where I'd live at if I had to have a transaxle.
And nobody has to have anything, right? Like, you don't have to have these cars, so you don't say that like, if I have to have a 944. If you want to own a 944, that's the one you would own. You don't have to own it. I think it's a cool car. I actually, believe it or not, would like to daily one because I just have that vintage bone about me. I just do not like new cars. I'd get the AC running good. I would love. I mean, think about the hatch space you have in those things.
Yeah, it's nice when the struts work. If it doesn't, then it hits you.
And for me, at least, it's a treat for me to drive it. I think it'd be a treat for other people. When I see a cool vintage car, even if it's outside a Porsche on the road, that's well kept, and I'm like, that's pretty cool. And then I'm gonna go about my day. But but I mean, nice. It's a nice thing to see, right? Yeah. Like, especially with all of the crap that's out there in the world and all that stuff. Good thing they're
keeping that up. That's great of them.
Yeah. Yeah, good on you, brother. Good on you. They get a thumbs up out of me. Good on you. No, I think it's pretty rad. So, not to put you on the spot, but how is your search coming? Are you? I'm still
searching. I'm kind of just enjoying my Cayenne at the moment. So.
Are you still kind of undecided between what's going to show up first, GT3 or
I have no idea.
Air-cooled?
There's no telling right now.
I would never guess you would be undecided about something.
No. I just haven't been shopping. I just haven't been shopping hardcore.
Undecided.
I've been kind of like looking, whatever.
Never that, bro. I'm just giving you shit. I'm sure it'll be pretty rad, whatever comes around. Do you have anything else for the folks before we let them go?
I don't think so. I think I've talked about everything.
All right, cool. We covered all the topics. We want to thank you guys so much for listening to us, everyone around the world. I know we're in 90-plus countries now. Yep. I would have never thought we'd be there.
Really 100, but
okay.
I haven't updated him.
Okay. Well, 100 the last time Aaron checked. I get my info from him, so you know how good I'm. Yeah, so when somebody tells you a secret, so I really know what's going on.
Telephone game.
Yeah, exactly. It's probably like 3 countries, really, at the end of the day. But, yeah, thank you guys so much. We couldn't do what we do without your support, and we appreciate everybody who's positive and has constructive stuff to say to us. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of PCar Talk. Connect with us on Instagram at PCar Talk or online at PCarTalk.com.